Hi typography, how you guys doing? Welcome to Module 3. This is the Welcome to Module 3 announcement type thing here. And I like to do a lot of stuff here. There's quite a bit to do, so let's get to it, okay? So the first thing I did is I broke this down how I would approach Module 3, because there's a lot to do. So basically, it's just the same plan as we're getting the plan at a glance here, and the way that everything's presented in order. Is the way I would approach it. So the first thing I want to say is let's talk about the chapter in the book. This chapter 4, it's called Legibility and Readability. It's chapter 4 in the book. Let me show you what it looks like. Okay, there's the book. Hold on. There's the cover of the book, remember, from Vital Source. Okay, so we go over here, and chapter 4 is called Legibility and Readability, and it's only 30 pages long or so, but this might be the most important 30 pages of typography that you guys will have been introduced to at this point in your student careers. It's really, really important that you read this and you understand it. If there's any time I would say, please read it twice or 3 times. This is it. And that's not saying, read the paragraph twice. I'm saying really let this stuff up. Read it. Read the chapter and then sleep on it and read it again tomorrow. You'll be surprised how much you'll retain. And it's just really plain and simple these days, folks. If you're not good with type, you're not going to be a designer. I hate to make it sound that realistic, but it's true. If you're not good with type, you're just not going to be you're not going to be sought after as a designer. The number one characteristic of employers looking for, the studio heads and creative hiring professionals looking for entry-level designers, is the ability to communicate through typography. So it's that important. And it just so happens that we have just this wonderful chapter. This chapter I will put up against any chapter. I mean, this is as good as any chapter of type that I've seen, and I read all the books. So, just really take it for the wonderful resource that it is. Let's get rid of that. And then back to where I was here now, back to what I wanted to get rid of that. And then I wanted to say, okay, in this chapter, you're going to learn a lot, and here's a list of some of the words and some of the vocabulary that you need to get yourself familiar with this week, because you're going to be expected to use vocabulary from the text in your discussion board. Okay, please remember that, because I'll be looking for that. Okay, so right here and to the discussion board after your reading of this wonderful chapter 4. In this week's discussion, you're going to talk about good and bad examples of typography. You're actually going to show some examples, and you're going to talk about how well or how poorly designs are, and you're going to talk about using elements of typography. And yes, you are going to name them. Here's just a couple, and this announcement will be here for you to read, so you don't have to try to read it here. But anyways, and then that's just a little example. I mean, there's a whole chapter of things that you can talk about. Okay. Then I want to talk about this. I want to jump over to this assignment 1. This is photo manipulation. Okay, so those of you who have read through and followed through to the final project, you'll see where we're going with this typographic portrait. Those of you who haven't, please do, because this will start making a lot of sense. So we're going to do this typographic portrait, and one of the parameters is that we're required to do it in Illustrator. Now, if we were allowed to do it in Photoshop, it would be a really different story. But this project requires the use of Illustrator. So that said, there's a number of different things that we need to keep in mind. One of the best techniques to prepare an image for type, for many of the techniques that would be involved in using Illustrator for this type of portrait, involve preparing the image into basically maybe a series of 6 tones or 5 tones, or even 3 different tones of gray. I'm talking about gray tones. So let me show you what I'm talking about. And those of you who are familiar with the cutout filters and Live Trace, or what it's called, Image Trace now, but it used to be called Live Trace in Illustrator. Those are all viable options, and that's what we're getting at. Let me show you an example. This right here is from the example that's located in the syllabus. I'm sorry, in the rubric for this assignment. Okay, and this shows you here how to do this in Illustrator. And basically what it's saying, and don't let this throw you, because I'm going to explain this. You're going to convert this photo to black and white. When you do the conversion, do an adjustment layer. Don't do, do a black and white adjustment layer. Please don't just convert to black and white. You'll ruin the tonal distribution, and it won't come out as nicely. Adjust levels to get a strong contrast. Then you're going to try different filters. You're going to try your cutout filter, and then whatever experimenting you do there. And here's some settings right here: cutout or image trace in Illustrator. Then you're going to get this final result. The final result will appear something like this, and I'm going to show you some different examples. But this is what it would look like. Okay, and from here I want to go back to, let's jump over to, let's do this. Let's jump over to our announcements, because I want to use this as an example, this right here. Okay, so as you can see, what happened here is the student took this into either Photoshop and put a cutout filter on it, and then put it into Illustrator, or put this image right here directly into Illustrator and did this image trace. And it looks like she's got 1, 2, only 3 colors here. 1, 2, 3. Those are only 3 colors. So back in that setting here, you're going to select 3 colors for an appearance, something like that. Now keep in mind, it's not going to look like this, because what she did after she got her results is she went in, and as you can see right here, there's a command that says expand. And that's really important, because once you hit that command, you expand. You can take these shapes here, grab their handles, and start to smooth them out and remove paths from these strokes, so that you'll really start smoothing these things out. Because you're going to see they don't look exactly like that once they come out of Illustrator. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's been refined. At that point, it's as simple as starting to place your type into these areas. The lighter your type, the lighter the density. Okay, or in this case, she's reversed with black in the background. So the lighter the tone, the more dense the type is going to be. Being that it's white type on black, it's going to create a lighter tone. Okay, now think about that, because this is reversed. It's on black. Okay, so think about that. So in a nutshell, what you're doing is matching the color to the type. Okay, and assembling it as such. Now, it sounds easy, but it's going to be really, really tricky. So this took her 5 weeks to do. So, don't expect results overnight, okay? And we'll get you through. We'll help you. We'll look at some possibilities and see what's possible for some of the things that might happen to pop up during this process, okay? That's that. So let's jump back here and see. Okay, so I just want to take a look at a couple other things here. Now, a couple other techniques that you could use. And I just Googled typographic celebrity portrait. And there's a lot, like the first 2 rows are this technique right here. And this technique, yes, you can see where from a photograph, this M&M here was actually put through this cutout filter or the live trace and presented like that, and then the type was pieced in, okay, and adjusted as such. Now note, this is Photoshop. That would be no good. Note there's other techniques of doing this, okay? This one is pretty interesting. One thing I want you to note is that you need to use words in your selection. So you can't just assemble letters. Like this is just an assembly of letters. We actually need to use words, okay? Something I want you to see, where the heck, oh, this is a wonderful This is a gorgeous technique right here, done beautifully, just beautifully. Those of you who have been reading through the book, that this almost looks like the Dinosaur Jr. poster, same type of typographic treatment. So that's really a wonderful job right there. Now, there's a couple other techniques that we'll see. This right here, I'd like you to stay away from something like this because you can see it's completely flat. So this is not doing what this is doing, where it's actually giving some depth and dimension to the hair and the face, and really building this depth into this image that this one just does not have, for the obvious reasons. I mean, there's no depth or dimension built into the type whatsoever. This is an interesting technique right here, really interesting. And again, this one, again, you'll be preparing that image, and basically what you're doing is this one has just using the word Dylan over and over and over. I would like you guys to use actual words to describe your character. I think this one here is a little too simple. No dimension here, no depth, so stay away from that. And this, if you go for something like this and you see this in your research and you go, I want to do that, that's Photoshop. Yes, it's gorgeous, but that's Photoshop. So again, here's another one. Stay away from that because there's no depth or dimension. Also, I don't want you to draw any eyes in. Everything has to be done typographically. That's an interesting one there. Okay, so if you guys have any questions on this, please let me know, because I've got a lot more examples I can share. But anyways, that's welcome to week 3. And okay, that's welcome to week 3. Don't forget that there's this tutorial right here that I was using. That's right in the rubric for the assignment. Okay, so that's where you'll find that. But anyways, all right, sorry for taking so long, guys. Welcome to week 3, and I will see you in discussion board. Thanks.